May pay homage to triple them, the Buddha and Dhamma and the Sangha. So, my last visit to Birmingham on the way back, while I was waiting at the airport, the gate, I was observing that people, those who are coming to Aberdeen, they were almost all of them were suited, booted, and then they were looking at the iPhone or iPad and then flipping the pages of some paperworks. And then I was reflecting that most of them are traveling probably for the high-end jobs, oil-related, and about the finance and about the money business and how to get more customers and how to get more money. And then in the meantime, because of their hard work, they are getting, fulfilling their wishes. But most of them were like very miserable. They were very miserable. And then they probably have a house to live, car to ride, and probably nothing to worry about financial security. And still yet they cannot relax and they cannot enjoy the moments they have. And I was reflecting myself as well. I'm also traveling a lot, and I have also so many papers to read, so many papers to deal with, and then so many people to deal with, different sorts of, and all the services, and also looking after the center. And I was reflecting that I didn't have that miserable face. Because I felt like I have all, but nothing belongs to me. And all I do is a service to the people, helping people in different ways. And then all I do, all it helps is with a kind and a heart, with an open heart, whoever comes, and then whatever they want me to do or want me to advise, and I just be there. And that service gave me contentment and happiness. And despite of having so many works to do, so many things that I am responsible for, and yet, because there is a feeling of I'm doing it for somebody. I'm doing it for something, not for myself. That gave me so satisfaction that my mind felt so calm and so tranquil, and I feel so sorry for them, because when I reflected on that, most of them will be striving to get more, promoted, and there is a desire to get more, and there is a desire to promote it, to be promoted, some sort of like that's related to that. And that's most of them, like they are doing it for them. It's just a means for them, and like that's how they become very miserable. So then when I was reflecting, it's like it's there. But again, because for something, somebody that is giving me so much to myself, and then that very moment I was just smiling to myself and sitting at the corner of the one of the seats. I was charging my battery, and I was just smiling to myself, looking at all people that are waiting for the flight. And then there was one boy came. He's a very teenage boy. he said about 23 years old. He's from Kurdistan, Kurdis, and he came to London when he was 11 years old. He was 11 years old, and then he said that life in Iraq, he's from Iraq side of Kurdis. He said that life in Iraq was so difficult, horrible, and then now he's in London, and he's doing the language translator. And then he was saying that you look so calm and he's smiling all the time. And then he looked at my dress and said, "What is this dress? I never seen it before." And I said, "Oh, this is our uniform." And then he said, "What kind of a uniform is this?" And I said that, "Well, this is a Buddhist monk uniform." And then I explained a little bit of Buddhism, and then a little bit of a meditation. And then he asked me that how many Buddhists. And then I said, "I do not know, because in Buddhism, whenever you wear this Buddhist robe, only then you can call yourself as a proper Buddhist. But the other time, you can join any religion, practice anything." And then he said, "Oh, what about the God?" And then say, "In Buddhism there is no God." And then he said, "Oh my goodness, and what do you believe?" And then again I said, "There is no belief either." And then he said, "Then what do you believe?" And I said, "Well, there is no belief involved in Buddhism, but what the core teachings is whatever you do, it has a result. Whatever you do, it has a result, and then you have to accept that result. If you don't able to accept that result, then that causes a suffering. And that causes a suffering. And that suffering you cannot deny. Doesn't matter what. Because it has already caused the cause. And that's what you have done. And now the teachings of the Buddha is simply, you know the cause and take away that cause. That's it. Is that simple? He said. And I said, "Oh yes, that's very simple, isn't it?" And then he asked me, "What about the meditation? How it comes to relate to this Buddhist teaching?" Meditation helps you to understand these things. And then he asked me, "How do we do meditation?" Nothing. Just watch your breath. Is that simple? And then I said, "Yes, very simple, isn't it? Do you know that you have a breath?" "Yes," he said. And I told him, "Have you ever watched it?" "No, never thought of it." So then I gave him a little bit of a breathing practice, and then he again, his mind distracted towards Quran, and then he said that Quran talked about going to the moon, and then about the universe and so on and so on. And I say, do not think of that. Do not think of this going to the moon, about the entire world. Think in your body. What's happening? Know that this our body. What's happening? Have you ever felt your body presence? He just, he didn't say anything. He just went silent for a while. And by that time, my gate was announced. So I asked permission to go. He was going to Belfast, So it was a very, nice conversation with him. In between these conversations, what also I got from him was that there is no chance the conflict will end in that part of the world because of this so much oil going on. And he used the word, this gold mine. So people of the Kurdish, they suffer a lot simply because of bad people taking control, and then the international involvement is involving in there, and as a result it's unresolvable conflict, he said. So he wished that he may not go back, but in the meantime he will try his best to help people in Kurdistan, in the Iraq side. So that was very sad to hear, very sad to hear. But however, anyway, this story was just my personal experience when I was traveling, and that also related to the service that the center also gives, and then the discussion with this boy was really, appreciating and touching. Again, the funeral itself was so touching to me as well. It's although I met this lady about 10 years ago, but the impression lasted until her last breath, and she wanted to see me before she died, but I was in Europe, so I couldn't see her, and family decided to invite me for the funeral, and I went, and I was asked to sit the coffin next to the coffin, and then they said that your favorite monk is here to say goodbye, and that was quite something. So although I was tired, but there was something that is quite interesting. Things happened this last trip, and most importantly the reflection I had with the people coming to Aberdeen and myself, and that gave me this conversation with this Kurdish boy was quite a thing to remember and reflect. So with this reflection, let's do the practice, unless you have any questions. Okay. So compose yourself, relaxed. Spend a few moments on the primary object in order to settling the mind down and establishing focus, concentration. And whatever other objects arises, acknowledging them. Simply observing, acknowledging, noting, and let it be. As the mind settles down, relaxed, composed, training yourself to notice this mind and then the object. The object that is being noticed. These are the two different things. Mind is one thing, an object being observed is another. And even the noting the thought also not the same as the mind. So whatever we are observing, those are the objects, and each moment when we are observing, we will be observing one at a time. So training the mind itself to be aware of these two phenomena of the activity, the mind and the object, so-called matter. The ability to define the mind and the matter, seeing two different things at the same time each time when we observe. And each moment when you observe an object, try to observe the mind and the relationship with this object, how this mind is relating. And in this process of a relationship with the object, try to notice the memories and perceptions involving and how much these memories or perceptions influence the mind to recognize the object and how to define this object. So training this mind to be aware of those relationships. And if you closely observe it, you'll be able to see that which comes first. Is it the mind, or is it the memory, or the perception, or the object? or simply stillness of the mind without having any perceptions, memories, or object. In that moment, simply establishing mindful awareness of this still mind. But obviously, if you feel that your mind is not composed, still not unsettled, then this being a beginner's mind. Relax the body, relax the mind, aware of the sensations of the body, spending time working with the primary object. And slowly progressing the relationship with these objects, how the breath relates to the body, how the body relates to the breath, expansion, deflation, and stillness and calmness of the body, of the mind. Or simply being mindful and aware of the primary object, working with it. Never think that the primary object is not necessary and we shouldn't be starting from the primary object. It is always advisable to start from it, and we can stay with it as long as we want, just to strengthen our awareness. So, ardently being mindful, establishing clear awareness of things as they are, as they come, as they appear. Continue practicing until you hear the gong.